Hello, Governor. Today we will be learning about the Cold War. But wait, why were the Russians late for the party? 'Cause they were Stalin!
And the award for the most terrible joke goes to my younger self. And you stole my intro! Hi, I'm Caleb Price, and today, as my younger self already said, we're talking about the Cold War, which actually wasn't really a war since there was no fighting. It's defined as the geographical and ideological struggle between the US and its allies and the USSR and its allies, and it pretty much began at the beginning of World War II and then ended at the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Wow, that's a long time. Almost as long as it took me to get a girlfriend. If I could get a girlfriend. Sorry, younger me, there's lots of heartbreak ahead. The first major thing to consider is the involvement of the US in major European politics. The Soviet Union sought to eliminate democratic and capitalist world order, so the US was eager to encourage democracy and free enterprise in Europe and also provide aid to those countries that desperately needed it against the Soviet Empire. American policy focused on containment, or the resisting of Soviet expansion and influence. One of the most influential documents was the Marshall Plan, which included giving economic aid to nations willing to work together and unify Europe. Overall, the Marshall Plan set the stage for Europe's post-war economic growth. Yet because the Soviet Union forbid its satellite states from joining this, it continued to widen the division in the Cold War.
Anyways, it all really began with the formation of two major political alliances, NATO and the Warsaw Pact. NATO, the National Atlantic Treaty Organization, was the alliance of countries from North America and Europe who were committed to fulfilling the goals of their treaty, which included combating anti-Western ideals like communism and creating a fully modern world. In opposition to NATO, the Soviet Union and its satellite states formed the Warsaw Pact, but unlike NATO, there was hardly any equality, and practically the Soviets ran everything. As I said before, the Cold War did not involve any direct military conflict between the US and the Soviet Union. However, it was fought between the colonies and allies, or satellite states of each alliance. These satellite states were initially interested in joining the Soviet Union of their own accord because of the influence of communism on Eastern European nations like Czechoslovakia and Hungary. Soon, though, they became completely dominated by Stalin after he and communist leaders wiped out any democratic presence in the areas, after which communism became the immutable force within these states and were at the mercy of the great Papa Joe.
Mr. Price, don't you mean Papa John's?
Oh, me from the past, pizza represents the free world. You can't have communism while drowning in cheesy crust and two choices of toppings. And Sam's telling me to change my shirt. It's obviously too communist. European and Soviet disagreements first began with the division of Germany. At the end of World War II, the future of the Germans looked terribly uncertain, since everybody had forgotten what to do with it. As a result, the Soviets and the Americans fought over which way the German economy and political system would be run. The US strayed away from the ideas of the commies in fear of having to support the Germans for the foreseeable future, and even lobbied to create a self-sustaining state for Germany. The Soviet Union desired to take advantage of Eastern Germany like a colony as it expanded its empire. Soon, in opposition to the US ideas, they set up the Berlin blockades, preventing any transportation of goods into Western Europe, and since it's located inside its Soviet jurisdiction.
This forced the Americans to use aircraft to transfer goods. Soon the conflict escalated to pretty much the rest of the world.
And Stalin died. Time for the beginning of the Khrushchev era. The Khrushchev era began with Nikita Khrushchev's reform to the Soviet system. Basically, he wanted to retreat from Stalinism while keeping a dominant communist party.
First, there was the Suez Intervention. When President Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, Britain and France feared they'd lose transport of their private oil. Basically, all that happened in short was that the US and the Soviet Union didn't support either side, so the war wouldn't come. So Britain and France pretty much lost without America, because every nation now is like a wimp without America.
Second, Poland desired independence, so they elected their own prime minister against the Soviet Union. And that's pretty much all that happened. What'd you expect? It's Poland.
Third was the Hungarian uprising. Overall, Nagy and others desired an independent communist state like Yugoslavia, and to leave the Warsaw Pact, which they believed was entitled from the secret speech. But the Soviet Union doesn't like people leaving it, since it wants an empire, so they marched in, suppressed it, and killed many of the people. And this made Khrushchev unpopular, and with the greater freedoms of criticism within the Soviet Union, they got rid of him.
Brezhnev. Man, where do they come up with these names? But let's take a detour from all this politics. Oh, it must be time for the mystery document. The rules here are simple. I will read the mystery document and try to guess it right. If I get it wrong, then I would get shocked with a shock pen, but the communists kind of took that away, so Sam will just be punching me in the face. Here we go. This means that each communist party is responsible not only to its own people, but also to all socialist countries, to the entire communist movement. Whoever forgets this, in stressing only the independence of the Communist Party, becomes one-sided. He deviates from his international duty. Just as in Lenin's words, a man living in society cannot be free from the society one or another socialist state. Staying in the system of other states composing the socialist community cannot be free from the common interest of that community. The State of the Union from 2004?
You're wrong!
Hopefully, Sam will not actually be punching me in the face. Close enough. Beauvoir said, even in Russia, women are still women. Thank you, existentialism. And world conflict was restored. The Berlin Wall fell, along with communist regimes and satellite states falling. Germany soon was reunited, and soon the Cold War ended. Stan, why are you focusing on Mr. McCulloch? Europe was united economically and politically, while the Soviet Union was a sacrifice and had failed. We see how the old world of the Soviet Union was an outcast in modern Europe. Russia was always late to the party in its end to slavery, and its internal revolution was late, its empire building was late, and even the culture was considered late. Because of this, Europe is able to reform itself using Russia as the mechanism for its change. It has been sought by many nations throughout history, creating many revolutions as well, like in France and Nazi Germany. Feminism and welfare has become a major part of European politics because of it, and even Europe has become united because of the offense against the Soviet Union and communism. Europe has become modern while Russia struggles to catch up, even though it will always remain the Orient, the other, and no one can predict what it will do next. Thank you for watching.